before that, Mr. Will Haugen has reinvented the virtual demo program. He gave this message to some of to our candidates and reps, so everybody else heard this, but we were in a meeting yesterday, so we didn't. So Will is the, you can slowly walk to the front. So Will Haugen, district manager of Fort Collins, created the virtual demo program. So the viewcutco.com with the presentation, Will created the original version. National took it over, but then National, as you guys have known, it has not been updated as much as it probably could have been. It should have been updated over the years. It still says brand new can opener and things like that. And Will recreated a new version that we've been using Rocky Mountain this summer that is awesome. Craig just randomly stumbled upon it because he searches for things like that online. But we've been using it this summer. It's really, really good, really enhanced. So Will wanted to unveil it to the region. And anyway, just want to make sure that we recognize Will for all the hard work. He's put in all the videos. All of the videos have been mostly recreated and edited. All of like the road cutting, leather cutting, penny cutting, all that stuff. And even the food cutting videos, everything's so enhanced, and the cookware videos and everything. It's a phenomenal virtual demo program. So I just wanted to recognize Will, and he had a couple of things that he wanted to share on implementation and some of the reviewing some of the keys and some of the changes that he made in this new version. But also, Will put in dozens and dozens of hours into this program. He maintains it. Just want to make sure that we recognize the hard work that Will does behind the scenes to make our virtual demo program great. The Southwest region is #1 in the company in virtual demo sales by a long shot. It's an incredible tool, and I just want to recognize Will and let him share a couple of points and some changes. Thank you.
So I don't want to take too much time. I mostly wanted you guys to know that there is a new virtual demo. So really all the changes and everything you know is on there. If you go to tinyurl.com/cutcodemo, just check it out when you get a chance. I think you will be pleasantly surprised. It's a lot more visually appealing and a lot of updated things in there as well. And a few key changes. There's I made a couple forks in demonstration. Because we teach in training how we only showed the ultimate signature set, they buy the homemaker set. So I have it set so it shows the homemaker set first, and then it says, click here if you want to see the bigger sets. And you click in there, it zooms on the ultimate and the signature, and there's the video they can click on to watch the signature video there as well. Also added a button at the end of the homemaker section where it says, if purchasing the homemaker, click here. And if you click on that, it skips all the smaller sets, goes straight to accessories. So there's a lot of cool little things like that. We have the cookware in there, wellness mats, and yeah, I hope you like it. So that's what I wanted to say. Just wanted to let you know there's a new virtual demo. Check it out. Let me know what you think.
All right, so let's talk about fall PPR. You've got 2 handouts. One of them is a 1-page document that I made a few years ago and that I forgot about, so I made a brand new one. And then I kicked myself and I realized that I already had one. So it's there's a lot of overlap, hopefully at least. But there's 2, so we're going to go back and forth, and I'm not going to tell you when I'm switching back and forth, so you're just going to have to stay on your toes. So at least the first point on each of them is the same. I'm glad I got that right. But fall productivity. Realize that PPR is 100% a product of you as a manager and has nothing to do with your reps, has nothing to do with your students. It's all about your mentality, your investment into your people. Also, more and more we're seeing that high quality students, whether it's through the steroid program or just in general, high quality students are local in our territories. And with more students going to community colleges, with more people taking gap years, I've seen in every territory across the board, especially in my territory, some of the sharpest students are not going away to college. The trend is that parents are not paying for 4-year colleges anymore. for their kids, and they're deciding to stay local or take alternative education routes. So we're seeing a huge influx of high-quality talent in our local areas. We have to go out and find them. That's obviously through the STERIC program, through our campus recruiting, and our PR programs. But realize that you can get the same, if not better, PPR, and I always believe that you should get better PPR in the non-summer when you have more ability to focus on each individual rep. You know, when over the summer, when your team is so big, you're spread pretty thin. Yeah, you can have sharp kids and schedules that can go after 10K fast starters, but we've seen almost as many 10K fast starters in the non-summer. We saw it with Ryan and Brian Stevenson's office in the spring, and in the pilot office, we've had high school seniors and college freshmen, college students hitting 10K fast starts throughout the fall and spring. So it's really all about the manager expectations. If you have a consistent PDI program, consistent PC program, and you really dig in and you invest into each person individually, there's no reason why they shouldn't sell more than your reps over the summertime. And you've got more time, more attention. You just can't cut corners. That's typically what happens, is that managers cut corners with their reps, and that's why reps decrease their sales. So you have to have big expectations. Also, when you think about first weekend sale, Matt and I talked about this the other day about the doubling effect. Whatever somebody sells in their first weekend, typically their faster sales are twice that, and then their career sales are twice that. So that's usually what we see. Now, if those are not your numbers, that means that we're cutting corners in some way, whether it's fast start, the fast start PC, or advanced training attendance, or team meeting attendance, or the day 11 PC, and it's usually our fault. I talk about with my managers the 5 most important events. These are the 5 crucial events to somebody's career. And if somebody misses one of these events, then they're dead in the water. This typically happens in the fall, either because it's football season, or they have classes and they make excuses and we don't hold them accountable to making these events. So event attendance is so important. The first event is Advanced Training 1. If somebody misses Advanced Training 1, what are the chances of their success long-term in this job? It's very small. Do we track that number? Do you know what your Advanced Training 1 attendance is? And if your Advanced Training 1 attendance is anything less than 100%, then you are losing reps. It's an easy way to literally just slit your jugular and bleed out in this job. As far as, it's a really weird analogy, but it's like that you are literally hemorrhaging CPO by not getting people to AT1. So do you have your AT1 at a time where it's conducive to all of your reps and your students? And do you have a backup time? Right? In the fall, it's necessary to have a make-up advanced training time, because typically, if somebody misses AT1, which in your office right now, how many students are missing AT1? I would imagine regionally it's probably half. Right? You launch 7 or 8, and you usually probably have 3 or 4 in advanced training, 5 at best, right? What happens to those other 3 or 4 people? Well, then you try to squeeze it in during the PC. You try to make it up during the PC. Well, that's not going to work. That's not going to be a recipe for their success. So having a makeup time for advanced training 1. What are the chances? What percentage of your reps make it to AT1? Think about this even for the summer. So this past summer, what percentage of your reps went to AT1, or at least went to a makeup AT1? Okay, that's event number 1. Why is that so important? Because they're going to get mental refresh, chicken list, schedule, goals, expectations, recommendations, tips, and closing confidence. That is huge for somebody's career. Now, the second key event is their first team meeting. You have to get them to their first team meeting. What reps missed their first team meeting, and how good are we at getting attendance? The rule of thumb is, for me, is that we have to get 75% attendance to our team meetings. Anything less than 75%, I'm losing CPO. The confidence, the recognition, the learning, teaching, and demo generation. The third thing that's so crucial is Advanced Training 2. What percentage of your reps miss Advanced Training 2? Advanced Training 2 is phone skills. If we don't teach somebody how to make phone calls, there's no way that they're going to succeed in this job. So realize that a lot of these things, a lot of PPR doesn't have to do with the reps, has to do with us as managers. Having the right schedule, making sure that everybody gets the right content, and not cutting corners. So many times we cut corners like, oh, AT2, they missed it. We'll figure it out later. We'll do it at their PC. Well, that PC never comes around, because they're going to be gone by then. right? So does everybody get advanced training 2? Do you have an advanced training 2 and a makeup time for advanced training 2 if they can't do it? So in the fall, it's important to make sure that you have backup plans to make sure every single rep you launch, you work so hard and you spend so much money to get somebody in your office, then you launch them, and then we don't give them the tools they need to succeed. That's really where the problem is with fall PPR. It has nothing to do with them, it has everything to do with us, our schedules, and catering to students. So the third event is AT2. The fourth, what's the fourth one? Oh, the first PC. Okay, so that was the second one. So first PC. Are you PCing every single rep in your office? And do you have an accountability system for that? You know, if Dan was saying yesterday that just like have a document that says active reps. Well, if for advanced training, I'm going to have a document, or I'm going to have a, on the whiteboard, every rep that I launched. And Nick Matlack made this. I don't know if it was Nick or KB, but one of them made like a document. You could probably send it out. A document that has all the events that somebody needs to hit to be successful in their fast start, and it's just a checkbox. So you have every rep, and it says, first PC, AT1, AT2, team meeting, AT3, day 11 PC, and just keep track. So what percentage of our reps are going through that whole process? If you were to look at all of your reps this summer, what percentage of your reps went to AT1, AT2, AT3, had their first PC, went to the team meeting, and had a day 11 PC?
All the ones that are 20K?
The ones that are here at this event?
Yeah.
Right? But I would say, how many went 5 for 5 with all those events? What percentage of your team went 5 for 5? I would imagine it's probably less than 25%, even in top offices. So again, manager mentality is key, but part of that is event attendance. So realize also first weekend sales shouldn't change. What's the difference between first weekend in the summer and first weekend in the fall? Nothing. There's zero difference. There's zero difference. Yeah, maybe they have some homework to do. How much homework did you do on the weekend as a college student? So why are we letting that be an excuse? And we know that if somebody doesn't hit their first promotion their first weekend, it is 10 times harder to retain them. Somebody hitting their first promotion their first weekend, or hitting 3K their first weekend. Look at all your top reps. Look at your top reps for the summer. Most of them hit $1,000 in sales their first weekend. I would say almost all of your top reps hit $1,000 in sales their first weekend. And then how many of them hit 3K first weekend? All your best reps. So in the fall, that shouldn't change at all. Even if nothing happened Monday through Friday, and all you had was the 2 weekends, well, they could do 3K first weekend, 3K second weekend, and you could have a 6K fast starter every single week of the fall. Every single week of the fall. So first weekend can't change. You have to be intense about your demo expectations. So our demo expectations don't change at all. Doesn't change at all. Now we launch on Saturday instead of launching on Friday, so we have one less day, but that really doesn't change much with the expectations. It's, your demo schedule, 8, 10, 12, 2, 4, 6, and 8. You should do 7 demos on Sunday. If you're a football fan, good. There's 17 weeks of the season. Oh, I want to watch the Broncos game. Really? You're going to jeopardize your opportunity in your career because you want to watch a football game? DVR it. Watch it later. They're going to lose anyway. They've got Mark Sanchez. And you can say that about any one of your crap teams. Okay. I'll just use the longer version. All right. So again, manager mentality is the biggest key. The experience equals expectations. In the interview, is this the old one? Oh, this is the old one. All right, I'm going to use this one. I may have made 3 of them. They're all good though. They're all good. Here, I'll just jump back and forth. All right, so driving demos. Now, so realize that in the fall, the only thing that creates CPO is demos. The only thing that creates CPO is demos and phone calls. And so I'm going to talk about as a manager, your job as a manager is to create demos. Right? That is what you are judged on. You're judged on your CPO. No matter who you are, you can be the greatest person, but if you don't have demos, you're not going to create CPO, and you're not going to be here for very long. The minimum expectation as a district manager, if you don't have 10 demos a day as a district manager in your office, then you are not running an effective business. You're not producing the one thing that we're here to do. You know, we're going to have fun on the river. We're going to do, you know, we have family culture, and Vector is so awesome, and we're so cool, but this is a business. We're a sales company. And when you back up and you take a 30,000 foot view of your business, we're in sales. How much sales are you doing? Right? So you have to really look at yourself and say, am I producing what I'm here to produce? And 10 demos. If nothing else matters, what's the one thing with PPR? Is demos, right? It doesn't matter how good or how talented your people are. If they're doing more demos than everybody else, they're going to sell more. You know, the South Denver office had $4,000 PPR this summer. You know why? Because we did more demos than you. That's it. My reps do more demos than your reps. Your reps might have more fun than my reps do. Your reps might think the culture is cooler than my reps do. But my reps have bigger paychecks because they do more demos, because they make more phone calls. That's what we're known for, and that's what I tell my reps in training. You know what separates us from every other office? You know why we're number one? Because we work harder than everybody else. Yeah, it's a fun job and we play hard too, but we do more demos than everybody else. That's what we're known for. And we will never let any other office make more phone calls or do more demos than South Denver. Nobody's going to outwork us. And they take a lot of pride in that. So as an office, I don't care how many reps you have on your team. If you have 10 reps in your team, we talk about 1 demo per day per rep on your team, well, that shouldn't change in the fall and spring. If you have more than 10 rep numbers with sample kits out there in the field trying to do demos, if you have fewer than 10 demos for any day, you are not doing your job. That's the bottom line. As a district manager, your job is demo generation. That's it. That's your job, demo generation. So if you have less than 10 demos in a day, you are failing as a district manager. I know it's early to hear that, but you're failing if you have less than 10 demos for the day. If you have fewer than 10 reps on your team, you're like, well, I can't do 10 demos because we don't have enough reps. Go recruit. Get more people on your team and find a way to get 10 demos. You do 10 demos a day, 7 days a week, that's 70 demos. With the $100 per demo metric, that's $7,000 in sales. Even if you started at scratch right now, you're hitting P-Banquet and you're hitting Costa Rica. That's it. If nothing else mattered, but you schedule your 5 PRs every day and you make sure that you have 10 demos scheduled every day, you're going to win this fall. I don't care who those demos come from. If you have 7 on staff and 3 other reps, you better have 10 demos for the day. That's why we have 7 on staff, for demo leaders. And I'll talk about that in a few minutes too. I'll rip on the lazy assistant managers. So 10 demos a day. Do you have a phone jam daily in your office? So Lloyd talked about the whole reason why we had 7 on staff, the whole reason why this concept came up with the DVMs, and Lloyd started this a few years ago, is that way you can have a phone jam every day. Every assistant manager needs to be responsible for a phone jam. Every assistant manager needs to be responsible for a phone jam. If you have 7 on staff, there are 7 days in a week. You should have a phone jam every single day. And each day, every assistant manager has 1 day that they're responsible for the phone jam, where they're at the office, sitting at the desk, making their phone calls, and everybody else watching. Now, that phone jam for the assistant managers, they're leading by example. They're not going around with a little bell and giving people high fives. They're just sitting at that desk phoning, and other people are watching. And if anybody's not phoning, they say, hey, get on the phone. And they make another phone call. So 7 on staff, 7 phone jams a week. Every assistant manager has to lead a phone jam. Has to lead a phone jam. I don't care if they're a student, I don't care what their schedule is, they have to lead 1 phone jam a week. Okay, so phone jam daily. PDI, your daily influence for PDI. Are you spreading hot news? Are you sharing every single sale? We have an office group meeting, so every single rep is in the group meeting. And it's unbelievable that reps that you think are MIA and dead in the water, they still see that. They look at the group meeting more than the sharp reps look at the group meeting. So sharing the hot news, keeping people in the game, getting people excited. And we've got this guy, Gary, on our team, who I don't think he's sold anything in a really long time, but he sees the groupie updates, he likes every single one of them, and then he just popped a galley set this past week, or sold a bunch, and he's was at the team meeting all fired up like he's one of the top reps in the team. because he's just involved. So have that hot news that the group is sharing, and we share every single sale no matter what. And don't be afraid that reps are going to post negative things. Who cares? If somebody does, everybody else shuts them up. We had this one girl that posted negative things in the office group meeting, like, no sales and blah, 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 and everybody else is like, posting like memes of like positive, power of positive thinking, and they're like putting inspirational quotes on there, and they're like, don't worry, you'll be okay, because new reps are way better at not hating shitty reps than we are. So daily hot news and daily influence. Rep management, it's so important. Here's the thing, when you goal setting, for every rep on the team, no matter what, goal setting is all about dirty 30. It's all about dirty 30. 100% it's about dirty 30. And this is something that Jake and I have been talking about quite a bit. We changed this in our training. We changed it in our interview promotion as well. When we talk about goals, we don't have any other goal than dirty 30. Here's why. Let's say you have a super top rep and you think that wants to go after $20,000 or $30,000 in sales for the summer. Anybody have somebody that wants to go after like 20K fall, 30K fall, something like that? Well, that is so intangible, especially somebody who's never done it before. So it's so important to have benchmarks and so important to have milestones. So if somebody wants to go after $20,000 or $30,000 in sales, that's great. But you say, okay, well, let's focus on your first 10,000. When are you going to hit dirty 30? What's the date? And you plan it all around there and say, let's focus on hitting dirty 30 by this date, and then we'll be on track for hitting 20 or 30. But if you have this $20,000 or $30,000 goal, that's so intangible for somebody who's never done it before. So it's all about dirty 30. Now, use the holidays. Use the holidays. So right now, and this is so important to know that for your interviews, for training, and for PCs, this is every fall, this is my strategy, is I focus on Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas. How many weeks are we from Halloween right now? 9 weeks. Okay, we're 9 weeks from Halloween right now. How many weeks are we from Thanksgiving? 13 weeks. How many weeks are we from Christmas? 17 weeks. Okay? 9, 13, 17. Next week, we're going to be 8, 12, 16. Every week you need to know how far away you are from dirty 30, and you break it down because so reps and just people, we think in terms of milestones and holidays and times of year. Think about how great it's going to be to get to dirty 30 by Thanksgiving. Think about how great it's going to be to make $2,000 by Halloween or $2,000 by Christmas. So the dirty 30 promotion is all about when are you going to make your first $2,000? And then you talk about what are your needs. Do you need it, do big expenses? What are your monthly expenses? Do you pay for school? And you figure out what their needs are. You have a conversation. Okay, we're going to plan out your first $2,000 in income. When do you need to make it by? Oh man, if I made $2,000 this semester, I'd be so happy. All right, great. So what does it take to get dirty 30? 60 demos. That's it. No matter how talented somebody is, no matter how veteran they are, no matter what, we always use 60 demos as the goal. We've got a guy on our team, Sean, who's got, $600-something average order. We're still focused on 60 demos to hit dirty 30. This kid's at $30,000 in sales, but I'm not changing goals. I'm not sitting there taking their average order and their closing percentage and using those goals, because that's completely worthless. If you use 60 demos, which we know that 6 or 7 demos for every 1,000, but when you're doing that many demos, your averages get better naturally. So for 10,000, it's 60 demos. No matter who it is, $10,000, 60 demos. I never change that. Why? Because I don't have to remember numbers. It's just easier for me to think 60 equals 10,000. So 60 demos over the course of 9 weeks. How many demos is that per week? 7 demos a week.
One a day.
1 a day. 1 demo a day equals 10K by Halloween. So that's this week. That's what I'm talking about in training. That's what I'm talking about in my PCs. 1 demo a day equals $2,000 in income, equals 10K in sales by Halloween. And if you're a student and you just can't do demos during the week, good, 7 demos in the weekend. You map out that schedule, but it's all about that 60 demos. Now, if it's by Thanksgiving, 13 weeks, how many is that? 5 demos a week. And then by Christmas, 4 demos a week. And you build in for reschedules, cancels, right? So you build up, 2 extra demos in their schedule, 2 extra time slots. But it's all about breaking down those numbers and using those milestones for their first 10,000. It's all about their dirty 30 goal. And no matter what, even if so even if a rep has, if they're at 0 in sales, you still make that dirty 30 goal. You give them something to look forward to for the future. And the dirty 30 birthday and commitment. So having a system of rewards and punishments. So I like using Cutco, and I'll say if you hit dirty 30 by this date, gadget of your choice, or K-bar, or whatever. It doesn't matter. I'll some type of reward, some type of from me, but also from them. I'll say, what's your commitment? What are you going to do for yourself? If you hit dirty 30 by this date, what are you going to do for yourself? And then also have a system of punishment. Not from me, but from that. Hey, what if you don't hit dirty 30 by this date? What are you going to do to punish yourself in a good way? Obviously, it's a fun event. How about no video games for a month, or no Pokemon forever? And they will hit dirty 30 for sure. So system rewards and punishments from you and from them, but it's all about that dirty 30 focus, and every rep having that goal. The weekly schedule. So this is really powerful for the fall. This is something that I've never taught before. This is really important for every PC, especially for students. I compare their schedule to a 15-hour-a-week job, right? If somebody wasn't working here, if a student wasn't working here, and by the way, I'm very open with them about this conversation. If a college student was not working here, what would they be doing for a job?
20 hours a week minimum wage.
15, 20 hours minimum wage, right? So let's say the 15 hours, $10 an hour is making $150 a week, right? But 15 hours, so what I do for students who have a busy schedule is I create for them a 15-hour-a-week schedule. And this 15-hour-a-week schedule is 5 demos, which is 10 hours of time, right, with drive time or prep or whatever, calling in for PDI. So 10 hours is 5 demos, 3 hours of phone time, and 2 hours for the team meeting. That's a 15-hour-a-week schedule. So 5 demos, 3 hours of phone calls, and then the 2-hour team meeting. That is a 15-hour-a-week schedule. And I ask them, if you do 5 demos a week, you're going to sell anywhere between $750 and $1,000 on average, right? If you're at 15%, that matches what you'd be making in any other job. If you're at 20% and higher, you're blowing it out of the water. And once you're at 25, 30%, you're at 30%, you're making twice as much as you would make in a normal 15-hour-a-week job. Plus, you get the resume experience, the culture, the fun, the advancement opportunities, all the things that come with that, right? But it's all about that 15-hour-a-week schedule, and I help them realize that this cannot be a hobby. The biggest problem that we see with students is that they dabble, and then other things get in the way, right? Their schoolwork, their classes, well, obviously those are permanent things in their schedule, but they say, oh, I've got a lot of homework, or I've got midterms, or I've got to study, or I've got a project coming up. If they were working an hourly job, is that a valid excuse to not go to work? No. So you have to have that conversation, and you have to set that expectation on the front end during the PC. This is your schedule, this is your job, you're committed to these 15 hours, nothing can get in the way. So if you have a busy school week, if you take a look at their syllabus, ask them when their exams are coming up. Okay, you have an exam in 2 weeks, good, we need to start studying now, because next week I don't want you to tell me I can't come to the team meetings, I've got to study for my exam. You knew about this from the beginning of the semester. Right? So they have to treat it like a job and make a schedule that works with those hours. So plugging that in, having a permanent schedule. What I like to do for the fall is their schedule doesn't change week to week. They have the same classes, they have the same study time. Lloyd talks about it all the time. And so mapping out that schedule, and then I make that permanent, and we make a generic schedule. Here are your demo slots, here are your phone times, here's the team meeting, here's the phone jam that you're coming to, and I tape that to their planner. Like, I want that to be the front cover on their planner. And if you want to take a screenshot, they can have it as the background on their phone, but something where there's accountability for that schedule. But again, it's all about that 15 hours a week for students. And 15 hours a week guarantee is they're going to be hitting the newsletter very, very consistently. And that's how you get high PPR for the fall. This is about their weekly schedule. And then obviously vision exercise, what is this fall going to do for you? You guys know how to have those what's in it for them conversations, but they have to have something to look forward to. Now what I like to do for new reps is I talk about, hey, this schedule for the fall is going to hit you this much in income, but think about next semester. Think about the spring semester. If you do the same thing, you're starting out at 30%. You're already at 30%, so think about what your income levels can be there. And then I paint the picture. Every PC, I'm always painting the picture of what next campaign and what next year is going to look like. For my local students who just came off this summer, we have a bunch of students. I just had this conversation with that same guy, Gary, the other day at the team meeting. Gary's at like $4,000 in sales. And all of his friends, all the other reps in the office that did $10, $15, $20, $30,000 in sales this summer, he's feeling a little bit bad that all these reps are a lot higher in sales than him. And I said to him, I said, Gary, all those kids they left for school, realize that you have 34 weeks to catch up. You have 34 weeks to catch up. If you do $300 in sales a week, if you have one order a week, that's 10 grand in sales. You're going to be right back at their level. So when they all come back from school for next summer, you're going to be exactly where they are. If you do $500 in sales a week over the next 34 weeks, that's 17 grand in sales. You're your 20K promotion. You're fair and show training eligible. You're at 35%. You're a bonus land. You've got the bragging rights. Everybody else is going to be looking up to you when they get home from school. You're going to be the man in the office. Right? You do $1,000 a week, you're top rep in the office. Everything that these top reps, these sharp private school kids did this summer, you're going to be ahead of them in sales by the time they get back from school. They're going to come to the office and be like, whoa, Gary, you've changed. And you should have seen his eyes light up. Jake was sitting right there when I was having that conversation. This kid was like, just like beaming ear to ear when I was painting the picture for him. So 34 weeks for your local students. All right, Training Pop. Training Pop is all about quantity and quality of demos. We said it before, but it doesn't change. Your fall expectations for training cannot change at all. Cannot change at all. Quantity of demos, 7 demos completed minimum. And I am very tough on my training group, and I review this over and over and over, very tough on my training group, that they have to complete 7 demos. Because if you complete 7 demos, you're guaranteed to hit your first promotion. As long as 5 of those demos are your best 5, you're guaranteed to hit your first promotion. In training, I've got 2 commitments. My number 1 commitment is that you hit your first promotion your first weekend. My second commitment is you hit Dirty 30 this campaign. This is my pay program in training now. I don't go through all the levels anymore in training. All I talk about is first promotion, first weekend, and how to hit Dirty 30. This is in training. This is PCs, PDIs, team meetings. It's all about first promotion, first weekend, and Dirty 30 this campaign. So first promotion, first weekend, 7 demos completed. No matter what, I don't care who you are, I don't care what exams you have coming up, you have to complete 7 demos. Because if you complete 7 demos, you're going to hit your first promotion. You hit your first promotion, you make at least $100 in income. You've got to give yourself above 50%. There's no other job in the college student where you can give yourself a 50% raise within a few days. I mean, think about it. You're not going to go to McDonald's and be on the fries, and they're going to be like, wow, you're really good at this. You're on burgers now within your first weekend. Right? So you can't give yourself that big of a raise in any other job. Here you can by working hard in your first weekend. So my commitment is for every single rep to make $100 in income in their first weekend. If somebody doesn't make $100 in income in their first weekend, I am at risk of losing that person. I am very fearful if somebody doesn't hit their first promotion their first weekend, they're not going to be here by Monday. And that's just how it works. Somebody gets off to a good start, they're locked in. Somebody gets off to a bad start, they're probably gone. So they have to do it. The only way to control it is by making sure you guarantee the demos. I am ruthless about demos. 7 demos completed, no matter what, every single rep. How many reps hit their first promotion, their first weekend in your organization? If it's anything less than 50%, you're not doing your job as a district manager. And your job is to create demos. So what that means is you're not creating enough demos. That's it. It doesn't mean you're a bad manager. If you don't have good first weekend, first promotion stats, it doesn't mean you're a bad manager. It doesn't mean that you don't know how to do the job. It doesn't mean that you don't know just as much about Cutco and training as anybody else in this room. It just means that you're not producing enough demos as everybody else. Many demos. So 7 demos in the first weekend, no matter what. Then 5 of those have to be their best 5. 5 of those have to be their best 5. And it's the what's in it for them conversation. Okay? So, John, you have to do your best 5 this weekend. Here's why you want to do your best 5 your first weekend. Let's say, by the way, for all of you guys in this training group right now, some of you have a list that you're not that excited about. Some of you guys have a list of prospects, some of you guys have a list of suspects. And some of you have a list of people that you're not that excited about and you're not that fired up. You're like, I don't know if I'm going to do this, to be able to do well at this job. I don't care what your list looks like. If you do 5 demos, you do your best 5 customers, you're going to hit your first promotion in your first weekend. Why? Because here's the thing. You show these, and I put these 5 people, I put it on the board. If you show 5 people and 1 out of your best 5 buys a homemaker set, you just hit your first weekend. If 1 out of those 5 buys a galley set, and then you sell something else to somebody else, you're hitting your first week, your first promotion, your first weekend. If you sell 2 Studio Plus 4s, you're hitting your first promotion, your first weekend. Even if nobody buys a set, here's why you have to show your best 5 your first weekend, because even if nobody buys a set, and you have 5 people that 4 of them buy an average order of $250, you hit your first promotion. You don't even have to sell a set this weekend and you'll hit your first promotion as long as you show your best 5 customers. So I don't care if your list is full of poor people with no homes and no married couples, you're going to hit your first promotion as long as you show your best 5 customers. Now most of you, and by the way, for that person, it's going to be so much more rewarding because you know you had to work your tail off for that promotion, because you're going to be one of the top reps in our team going forward. Now, most of you have a decent list. Most of you have a list that you're pretty excited about, and you've got plenty of people, married couples with homes. You show your best 5 customers, guaranteed you're hitting your first promotion. Most likely you're going to jump and fall on top of your second promotion, $3K, and you'll make a couple $100 this weekend. You're going to be feeling really good. Oh, by the way, the people I just talked about, those of you who don't feel like you have a good list, if you show your best 5 customers this weekend, you're going to hit your first promotion. But more importantly, those 5 people, who are they going to recommend you to? Their best 5, and you've got 25 baller customers on Monday, and your list is going to look exactly like everybody else's. Exactly like everybody else's. And you'll have an opportunity to be one of the top reps on our team this summer. So don't feel bad for yourself. Just work hard and make sure you show your best 5 customers. Don't make excuses. Okay, so those of you with the decent list, you show your best 5, same thing. You're going to get your 5 best customers, hit your first promotion, maybe even your second promotion, and then you're going to get their best, their recommendations, and you'll have a baller list from that point on. Now, some of you have a list of just disgusting, nasty customers in a good way, like just filthy. Some of you know people who have money, and some of you know people who have money, right? Thank you, Mark Bullitt, for that. So some of you guys know people who have money. And if you have this list, you show your best 5 customers, you're hitting at least 2 promotions, if not your 3rd promotion. You have a chance to make somewhere between $400 and $1,000 this weekend. Is there any other college student who can make $400 to $1,000 in one weekend? Nothing. Nobody. It's impossible. But you have the opportunity here as long as you show your best 5. Okay, so it's all about those best 5 customers and really hammering that down. Now that has to happen in the day 1, day 2 PC. I'm constantly checking their people. Every demo they set, every single demo set, I am verifying that demo to make sure I'm comfortable with them doing that demo. Okay, so I just got a demo. Great, who's it with? Okay, what do they do for a living? Are they married? Do they own a home? What do they do for a living? Are they married? Do they own a home? And if it's no to any of those answers, then I coach them on rescheduling that demo. And it's the what's in it for the conversation. Listen, if you do this demo, there's a good chance that you're not going to sell. Now listen, we're on the same team. I'm your coach. I'm not your boss. I'm not the person who's trying to harm your sales. I want you to sell. What's good for you is good for me. I make commissions too. I don't make a salary. Right? So you selling is good for everybody. Okay? So I want you to make a lot of money. I want you to sell a lot of Cutco. And I'm going to coach you in the right direction. If you do this demo, there's a really good chance you're not going to sell. And all it's going to do is hurt your mentality. All it's going to do is hurt your confidence. So listen, we're on the same team here. You can do this demo, but you got to do this demo next week. Don't do it right now, because if you do this demo this weekend, it's going to be a no sale. If you wait until next week, you're going to be so much more confident. You're going to be so much more prepared, so much more likely to sell. But if you do this demo this weekend, it's probably going to be a no sale, and then I'm going to have to save you from jumping off the ledge and trying to quit your job. And I don't want to have that conversation. I want this weekend to be demos where I just high five you and tell you how great you are, and talk about puppy dogs and ice cream and how much money you're making. That's what I want this weekend to be all about. So you can't do this demo this weekend, not for me, but for you. You can't afford it mentally. You can't afford to do this demo this weekend. Okay? So making sure that you are keeping track of the quality of demos. The value talk in training. Value talk in training. This is something you've got to nail. And if you're not good at this, play Danny's video. Just play Danny's video. Or play mine. I don't care. It's the same thing. We say the same stuff. So the value talk in training, you want your reps to have the reaction of, you want them to be dumbfounded when you tell them the price. And if your people are not dumbfounded when you tell them the price of Cutco, it means you're not building enough value. And I hammer them. I'll give you 2 keys, and you guys know all the value. Hopefully you watch videos, and you read scripts, and you understand the things that Danny's been teaching for years, that I've been reviewing for years. There's 2 additional things that I want to teach you. These are secret sauce things. You guys want to hear? Yeah. These are game changers. Can I have your 5? Is that cool? Okay. P-Bank is going to be awesome, by the way. If you don't hit it, you're a failure. So here's, seriously, it's Vegas. They spend $3,000 a head on this. You eat caviar by the spoonful. I mean, it like tablespoonful, not like little caviar. So here's the 2 additional pieces for the value puzzle that has made a huge difference this summer. Okay, one is the average household spends between $6,000 and $10,000 a month. The average household expenses are between $6,000 and $10,000 a month. Now, you guys have to know the entire, thing of what do homeowners spend their money on, what do college students spend their money on. You guys have seen all these things. If you haven't, watch more Vector Connect videos. But the average household spends between $6,000 and $10,000 a month. Right?
Yeah.
Good. How much does a homemaker on a 5 pay? $265 on a 5 pay, right? $265. If the average household is spending $6,000 to $10,000 a month on household expenses, $265, they're not even going to notice. If you put $265 on my credit card right now, I would never notice. To me, that's free. Anything less than $500 is free. And I'm not an abnormal person. I'm just like your parents. I'm just like every customer on your list. Every single customer on your list, they own a home and they work full time. Why? Because they're a human being, and that's what human beings do. You're a college student. You have to put yourself in your customer's shoes. They're spending $6,000 to $10,000 on mortgages, insurance, all of their expenses, hundreds of expenses. Their credit card statement is pages long. If you put a tiny little $265 on there, are they even going to notice? The only way that anybody will ever notice their charge for their Cutco set is if they scan every line of their credit card statement, but nobody does that. The only reason why I find out about charges if my financial planner looks at that and says, "What's that?" and I say, "I don't know. I must have spent $200 on something." And your parents and your customers are exactly the same. $6,000 to $10,000 a month in expenses. $264, they can sneeze that. That's like the coins lost between the sofa cushion. That's what $265 is to somebody who owns a home and works full time. Now, you as a college student, you might think that $265 is a lot of money, but it's not. Here's why. You want to know why it's not a lot of money? Raise your hand if you've ever been to Starbucks or Chick-fil-A or Jimmy John's or Qdoba. Okay, raise your hand if you go to any of those fast food places, any of those eateries. If you go to any of those places once a week, raise your hand. Once a week. At least once a week. At least once a week. Raise your hand high. At least once a week. Keep your hands up if you go to any of those places twice a week. 3 times a week? Anybody 5 times a week? By the way, what do your reps' hands look like right now? Yeah. Okay, when I ask this question, 90% of the room is 3 times or more. 50% of the room is 5 times or more. Every single week in training. Okay, how much, when you go to those places, how much does it cost generally? $10. Okay, so, Brian, you go to Chick-fil-A, Jimmy John's, Starbucks, any of those places, a cumulative of 5 times a week. Check this out. 5 times a week, that's $50 a week. You spend $50 a week, 4 weeks a month, that's $200 a month. You can afford any one of these sets. For the amount of money you spend on sandwiches, you don't even have a job. You can afford a homemaker and you have no home and no job. You're homeless and jobless. And you can afford a homemaker. For the amount of money you spend on Chick-fil-A, you can afford a homemaker. And you're saying somebody who owns a home and works full-time, this is a lot of money? Are you kidding me? They can fart this. $265 to somebody who works full-time and owns a home? That's nothing. That's a nice dinner out. That's absolutely nothing. If you can afford it, they can afford it. And then I use that the entire way of training. Every time I do drop down. The galley set, $191 a month. Is that what it is? 181, 191? 190 bucks a month. And I keep on coming back to that. I was like, by the way, the galley set, Brian can afford that. He can afford that. Every 5 months he can buy a new galley set. Every 5 months he can afford a galley. Right? So those are the two keys. The average household spends $6,000 to $10,000 a month. And then I compare it to the little expenses adding up. Because sometimes we say, what are the big things that you've bought, you spent your money on, that was like the wow factor that mom got pissed at you for. Most people can relate, but some people can't. Like everybody can relate to those little expenses adding up. Everybody can relate to that. Finally, with team management, it's all about your top 10. All about your top 10. Guarantee 10 PCs a week. Lloyd talks about every PC equaling $1,000. Well, let's say if you don't have 10 newsletter prospects, 2 PCs. Take your top 5 who can hit the newsletter, do a PC for those 5 one-on-one, and then if you've got 10 others who you think can write up an order or 2, do those in groups of 2 or 3. Every PC needs to create $1,000 in CPO. I'm not going to sit down with Evan for an hour because I know Evan can't hit the newsletter. But I'll sit down with Evan and Charlie together because combined, that's $1,000 in CPO for the week. But every PC needs to create $1,000 in sales. Of course, you can do more than that. But every PC needs to create $1,000. Does that make sense? So if you have, let's say you've got 4 reps in the team that are just like they'll write up an order every once in a while. Just do those 4 together. Do a cool workshop, have a blast with it. That'll be so much more fun, and you won't hate the PC or them. If you do 4 reps together that are like 1 order a week reps, and you group together, you're like, hey, let's have some fun, let's do some role playing, let's talk about sales, and you make it really interactive and fun and make it the coolest PC ever. Well, you just did 4 PCs, you impacted 4 people, you created $1,000 in sales, and you don't hate your team, and they don't quit because they feel like they're getting one-on-one time from you. Every rep has to be PC, but then you have 10 newsletter PCs. You could do 20 reps in those 10 PC slots. You have to have 10 newsletter PCs per week. And they have to be permanent times. What we do in our organization, what Jake does, is he has his schedules mapped out. Every PC slot for the entire campaign is already mapped out, and he just writes in the names of who he's putting in that spot. The managers who do a crappy job with PPR, every week they say, well, who do I need to PC this week and where can I fit them in? The top managers with PPR, they have their PC slots already set and they plug in the reps into those time slots. Just like as a rep, you had your demo slots already in and you just plugged in the customer's name. There's no difference. As a manager, your job is just like a rep. Make a lot of phone calls, call a lot of PRs, do a lot of demos, do a lot of PCs. That's it. Phone calls and demos, PR calls and PCs. That's your job as a manager. And then assistant manager sales, they are your top reps in your team. As Dan mentioned yesterday, and somebody else mentioned this too, every assistant manager has to have a weekly PC. It needs to be a standing PC the exact same time every week. Your most important PC is your assistant managers. If you have 7 on staff and you're doing less than $7,000 in sales per week, then we're doing something wrong. 0 goose eggs. Here's my rule for assistant managers. A lot of people ask me, what's your standards for assistant manager sales? No goose eggs. You have to sell something every week. You have to sell something every week. I don't care if you have to buy it. If it's Monday night at midnight, you're at 0 in sales, make grandma buy a peeler. No goose eggs, and your goal has to be dirty 30 minimum for the campaign. If any assistant manager is less than dirty 30 goal for the campaign, they should not be an assistant manager. At least that's their goal. Doesn't mean they have to hit it, no, but you have to at least have the schedule to shoot for it. So that's the rule. Dirty 30 goal with a schedule that can allow that to happen. So you need a dirty 30 schedule and no goose eggs. Thank you.